I first got asked to attend tonight as a motivational speaker, I thought the one word to describe how I really felt was grateful. And the reason why I felt so grateful was because if there wasn't for that one teacher, that one educator, Mr. Howells, when I was in school, I simply wouldn't be here today. I certainly wouldn't be standing here having achieved what I have, but most importantly, I probably wouldn't be alive right now. Growing up as a young person in a deprived area of South Wales, we're used to following, the footsteps that people have gone before us. And myself as a young person, I truly believed that my future was written for me. I truly believed that I was led to follow role models that I had in my community who had achieved very little, who had very little ambitions, but most importantly, never believed in themselves. But it wasn't until I started to get older and that one teacher started to make an impact and a difference in my life that I started to realize that my future wasn't written for me, but my future was written by me. And it was only me who could hold myself accountable for the future that I wrote. I'll openly hold my hand up. I was never the best student in school. I think most teachers used to describe me as a bit of a class clown, to say the least. But one of the things that I realized was that as I got older, was that I was never a class clown. Because I found out now that once you've left school, you can actually become a clown for a living these days. For me, I was always the class fool. I was always the one making other people laugh at the expense of my own personal sacrifice. And one of the things that I found as I started to grow up in school, in secondary school in particular, was that I was quite different. I wasn't the same as everyone else. And this is because I suffered with severe mental health problems, in particular anxiety and depression. There came a point in my life where I didn't have the confidence to leave the comforts of my own home, never mind even try and attend school with my friends I was in. There came a point where I was so low, I lacked so much ambition in myself that I couldn't even be surrounded in a classroom setting because I was scared of the opinions that people would have of me. But I always had that one teacher who was there for me, Mr. Howells. He was always there for me no matter what I'd been through, no matter what challenges I was facing in my life. He was always there to pick me up and provide me with a second chance, no matter how much I didn't quite deserve it. But we had one conversation in school with Mr. Howells, and I remember one thing he always said, and this one thing has stuck with me for the rest of my life, and that he reminded me that I was one decision away from a totally different life. I left that conversation pretty empowered, pretty uplifted. I spent the entire week, the rest of the month, looking for what that one decision was going to be that was going to completely change my life. After weeks of searching for what that opportunity was going to be to change, I realized that it wasn't coming. And I remember one day on a Tuesday in November, I left school early because I had an anxiety attack. And I spent the rest of the day thinking to myself, Luke, what am I going to do to change? How can I change? And I got to that much of a low point in my life that I couldn't see myself picking myself up from where I was at that point. And I peeled myself off my bed, and I sat at my desk. And on that desk, I took out a piece of paper. And on that piece of paper, I remember writing 2 words. I'm sorry. After weeks and months of searching for what was going to change in my life, I'd finally found my way out. For me, I had to end my life that night. There was no way of coming back from what I'd been through that evening. Thankfully, I managed to get through that night relatively untouched, and then I went to school the following day. And I went to school with that mindset that, if I can just get through this couple of hours of lessons, I can go home later and do something today that my future self would thank me for. But as I was walking down the corridor that day, I was always quite a happy and bubbly child, but that day I was pretty low, walking on the corridor. It was clear and evident that something was wrong with me. And no matter how many teachers walked past me, Mr. Howells stopped me. "Come on, Luke, what's up?" I said, "Nothing, sir, I'm okay, I'm fine, don't worry about me." He said, "Come on, Luke, I can see you're not yourself, what's up?" And I said to him, "Look, sir, I'm struggling, I had a bit of a bad night last night, but I don't want to talk about it." He said, "That's okay, Luke," he said, "but I've got an opportunity after school for you." And I said, "What's that, sir?" And he said, "Well, after school, we're starting a program called Sports Leaders, a sports leadership leadership qualification that I could enter in. And because he knew I loved sport. He knew what I was passionate about. He knew what my why was that nobody else did, because he took time to learn more about me than every other teacher walked past me. And I said, okay, sir, you know what, yes, I'll do it, because to me, I was just delaying the inevitable anyway. Well, I went on, and I'd done the sports leaders session that day. And I'll never forget being stood in the sports hall, and all of a sudden thinking, what am I doing? Are we playing sport? Are we teaching sport? What are we doing? What is leadership? And all of a sudden, the double doors opened at the back of the room, and bursting through these doors like a herd of rhinos, were hundreds of young people, all screaming with energy, who couldn't wait to play sport. And there was me thinking, wow, what have I signed myself up for? But I remember I left that session with the biggest smile that I had in months. Finally, I'd found something that I enjoyed doing. I had a reason for living. And what I realized was that by volunteering, by helping others, I was actually helping myself. I decided in that moment that I had to make a change. No matter how big, no matter how small that change was, I had to do something, because I'd finally seen the light at the end of the tunnel. And I went on, I made a lot of changes in school, I messed up a lot as well, but I ended up leaving school with 4 GCSEs. My friends were just as ecstatic, they had 12 A stars, but it was me happier, if not more happy than them, that I had achieved 4. Because I had turned my life around, I had gone from nothing to something. Suddenly I had this aspiration of wanting to improve my educational journey. So I thought, you know what, I'll go to college. I went to a local college in Coleg Gwent and studied sport for 2 years. Suddenly, when I started studying something I was passionate about, I suddenly unlocked my true potential. I thought, right, what's next for me? I thought, I'll go to university. The teachers used to laugh at me when I shared my ambition to go to university. Go to university? You can't even make it through a classroom session. Never mind 3 years at university. So I thought, you know what? I'll do it anyway. And as of June 2018, I recently graduated from the University of South Wales with a first-class honours degree in sports leadership and development. And the reason why I graduated with that degree isn't because of the potential that I had. It was because of the potential that one teacher saw in me. The faith and the ability that teacher had to see through all of my behavioural difficulties, all of these challenges. This teacher believed in me like nobody else did. He lit that spark inside of me that even I didn't know existed. But that's what teachers do. They help people when they go through difficult times. And to everyone else outside of this room today, you're all just teachers. But to everyone in here and to every young people, you are all heroes. You're all born to make a difference. You're all born to challenge circumstances that we've lived to grown up in, being from South Wales. But when I left university, I said, I make myself a promise. And that promise is that I want to inspire as many people as physically possible to believe in themselves, to unlock their own potential. Across the last 2 years since graduating from university, I've managed to set up my own business as a motivational speaker. I now travel around schools, conferences, events, right across the UK and Europe, sharing my story to inspire people to believe in themselves, to unlock their own potential. Over the last 2 years, I've worked with over 50,000 people across the world, and I've been fortunate enough to speak in locations such as Buckingham Palace, 10 Downing Street, and even at a World Health Organization conference in Lithuania. All things a young boy from South Wales with no aspirations or no future never even dreamt of doing. But I was able to turn my dreams into a reality because of 2 things. The first of all, because I believed in what I was doing. Often when we set to make challenges and make changes in our lives, believing we can do something is actually more important than being able to do it. But second of all, the reason why I've been able to go from where I am now to where I want to go in the future is because of the help of people like you. The teachers, the educators, the people who work in the back, the assistants in schools, the people who continually make a difference to these young people's lives. Because the thing is, you don't save young people's lives, you give them a life. By putting the belief into them, the passion, you light the spark in them that, like I said, I never even knew I was there. But my challenge to every single person in this room today is that when you go to school tomorrow, you're going to see young people who resemble my story in the people you see, in the people you work with. But I want to remind every single person here, we are all just one decision away from a totally different life. So believe in them, give them the opportunity, because you never might not know what them young people are going through when they walk through your doors tomorrow morning. But I hope you all have a fantastic evening, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the celebration event. Diolch, thank you.